when you talk about SMEs and the services that you're currently providing to your clients, one of the big things that I was impressed about your practice was where you want to go in terms of getting the team behind the growth, particularly with existing clients. So what I'd like to do is start talking about leverage, and if you could tell us a little bit about how the partners and directors in the practice arrived at the decision to make you and your team, rather than themselves, take the lead in growing advisory services. What was the catalyst? What were the main reasons why they focused on this leverage idea?
Yeah, so I guess to start with, you probably really need to consider what the major themes are in the accounting industry at the moment. And to my mind, technology is a major one, but also the shift from compliance to value-add advisory work. And, you know, the accounting industry is going to look very different in 5 years' time to what it does now. And myself and the directors here really believe that if you start to equip yourself with the skills to just deliver great client service, then really you're giving yourself the best chance for whatever that landscape does end up looking like. So I guess thinking about, you know, shifting the weighting of advisory services revenue against compliance revenue, then what the directors realised was that to make a meaningful shift, they needed input from more than just themselves. So, you know, the bulk of the work that the directors are already doing, I'd regard that as advisory work anyway. So it makes sense that the next level down are the people that really need to be upskilling themselves.
I think that's a critical point. You know, historically, advisory services have been left to the partners and directors. And what we're finding is they just don't have the time. Was there any major driver to get you involved or for you to be part of creating leverage in the practice?
I think one of the really good things about Hood Sweeney is that the directors here have always had a really strong approach to developing their talent. So, you know, there's a whole bunch of young and ambitious accountants here, and the directors basically just said, look, let's give them a go at developing this approach to growing the fee base in advisory work.
Yeah. And did you have any major concerns on taking on this new role and developing new advisory skill sets? Did anything worry you about that?
I don't think there were major concerns as such. You know, I've got full support from the board here and the accounting directors, and we've got a pilot team that are really committed to it. So I think the chance of failure is probably pretty low. But, you know, there's always the concern around how do we actually go and fit this into our, you know, really busy work lives already? How do we go and do this without letting it fall by the wayside? So I think that's probably just like really implementing anything new in an accounting firm. It's really easy just to focus on your day-to-day tasks and keep the workflow moving through. So I guess we just needed to put a really focused effort in by our pilot team and just commit to our actions, I suppose. So we you know, as a team, build a strategic plan and a roadmap, and we set in place ways to track our actions, so, you know, KPIs and regular progress reports.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, and we might talk about that a little bit later on around, you know, KPIs. One of the challenges I hear from a lot of future leaders and professional staff in accounting practices is balancing the time that they've got with their existing work commitments with chasing and doing new work. How did you do that? Was it just you committed to it, or how did you find that balance between looking after your existing workload but also looking to develop new skill sets in the advisory area? How did you manage that?
Yeah, I think it's a mindset thing almost. So you really just need to commit to it. Like I was just saying, it's so easy to go and do the things that you've always done because that's the easy thing to do. But, you know, we recognise that this is important in the terms of where our firm's going. So we're committed to it, and to be honest, it's interesting work. So once you've got a handle on it, it's actually pretty interesting work.
Yep. Just on the decision, what I've put on the screen is some of the stats of our accountants research report, and you'll see creating leverage is not easy. And some of the practices we work are still struggling with that concept. But one of the key things to do to create leverage in your practice is to separate strategic and operational advisory services. And we talk a lot about that in our accountants research report. And then I think, as Marcus has touched on, giving your staff the time and the confidence to build these skill sets and saying, okay, we're not going to put pressure on you. We know you've got a busy workload, but this is really important to the practice that we invest in our people. And ultimately, you will get there. And what we're seeing for the practices that are investing in their people, are creating leverage, it improves staff retention and motivation, which is really critical if you're looking to keep your people involved in your practice.